Today on the channel, I'm going to be changing the oil in my wife's 2014 GX460. Alright, as you all know, I am about empowerment to do things yourself and save money instead of going to the dealership. Since we've been in this quarantine, even though the lockdown is starting to relax, I have had a little more time to do things myself. So instead of taking my wife's Lexus to the dealership to get the oil change, which approximately runs about $120, I'm going to do it myself today, and we're going to save half that amount. As we go through the process, I will tell you the tools and the sizes that you're going to need to do the job. And this is my first time changing the oil on this, so it may take me a little bit of time just to figure things out. But just like any other vehicle, I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. I already have the oil and the filter that we're going to be using. So let's just jump into it and get started. All right, so first things first, let's go ahead and loosen up the oil filler cap. Good. And then we're going to go over here. We're going to pull the dipstick. And then let's jump down below and get access to drain the oil. All right, here we are up under the GX. This is the front. That's the way to the back. This is some body cladding right underneath the engine. This needs to come down so you can get access to the oil filter. So I believe there's either 6 or 7 bolts, but there's one here, one here, one here, and then I think 2 more up front. Oh yeah, 6 bolts, and then there's like this little tab that just kind of hooks in there. So basically, these are 12 millimeter bolts. So we're gonna go all the way around, disconnect those, and then bring this down, and then I guess we'll see where the access is for the oil filter. And then if we go a little bit farther back, well, I'll just take you back there. You're going to come to this little panel right here. Now underneath that should be your bolt to the oil pan to release the oil. And again, you got 2 bolts right there. They're both 12 millimeter. So I'm going to go ahead and undo those, get that down, and get this front cladding down, and then we'll see what's under there, and then proceed from there. And right there you can see there's the bottom of the oil pan, there's the plug, and it is a 14 millimeter, so we're going to go ahead and loosen that and go ahead and start draining the oil. And if you just look right up there, that is the oil filter housing. You are going to need one of these tools right here. This is a, I guess just a Toyota tool. I got this one from Motivx, and I'll tell you how I like it at the end. But one of the things that this had over some of the other ones that actually has these grooves. So you'll see that it connects right on top of it, where some of the other ones didn't actually latch down around that. It was just around the top part there. So some people said that other tools slip, where with these going down on the grooves, that actually gives something to attach to, and it's easier to get off. So I did try to actually take this whole thing off, and so all the bolts were 12 millimeters except the 2 that were up here in the front. They were 10 millimeters, and then you had that that little pop thing in the middle, which was annoying to get out. And they are on 2 hangers right here, but no matter how I tried to move it to get it to release, I couldn't. So just think about that. And actually, I was going to do this without jack stands, but because I couldn't get this thing to release, I have it up on jacks right now, just to make it a little more accessible. So if you can get this to come off, I don't think you have to do jack stands. You should just have good access to that and be able to get it. But if not, you probably have to put it up on jacks and just work around this shielding. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on, get the old filter out, and then we will go over putting in the new filter. All right guys, so now we have the oil filter housing out, and now we're gonna go ahead and change the oil filter. So at first, this is what I'm using. I was a little concerned because when I took this out, so you have the oil filter, but then you have this little doohickey here, and the filter that came out didn't have that, so I was kind of concerned about it. And then you have 2 O-rings here. Obviously this one's going on the oil filter housing, but I didn't know what this little one was for. So this little one actually goes on that, and it goes on the top, but apparently this same size filter is used among other Toyotas and Lexuses, and they actually have to have that, but this one specifically does not. So it's good to know, and I'll know for next time, and it won't take as long, and I won't have to do as much research. So we're going to go ahead and put that in right there right now. We're going to go ahead and get the O-ring that is going to go on the outside. So there's the oil filter housing, kind of spring loaded. And then I'm going to get my tool right here, and then just like we did on the GTI, you just slowly want to work it so you don't sling oil everywhere. Slowly work it around. There you go. Once you're finished with that, let's just throw it down here. I just like to go ahead and wipe off any excess oil around there. Now I will get just a drop of the old oil and lube the new O-ring to go in place. Alright, have that all lubed up. Now we're just going to fit it around the top and work it down. You see a little groove there. Once it's in the groove, we're good to go. So this filter doesn't go any particular way. You just want to put it on top. Usually I'm listening for a click, but it doesn't seem like this one clicks in place. It just sits all the way flush, and then we're going to go ahead and install it back in. Oh, and I will say, I don't know what torque spec it is, but whoever tightened this one down last or did a torque on it did it to where they never wanted this piece to come out ever again. It was so tight. I actually had to use my longer wrench attached to that tool. And by the way, that tool that I was showing you worked perfectly. But I had to get enough leverage on it. I had to use my bigger wrench and actually a rubber mallet to beat on it just to get it to loosen up enough where I can get it out. So I would assume that is, whoever did that last at the Lexus dealership, that is not the proper spec, because I've never had to work so hard to get a housing off before. We're gonna go ahead and throw this back in, and then put the new washer, and then put the drain plug back in, and fill it up with oil. Alright guys, so now it is time to go ahead and put in the oil, and just as it says on the filler cap, which is 0W20, and in the owner's manual, that is what we're going to use. Now my personal preference is Mobil 1. Just like any other engine oil, check in your owner's manual, make sure that it meets all the requirements here on the back, so you're good to go. Not all 0W20s or not all engine oils are made the same. So this with a filter change does take 8.2 quarts. So this is a 5 quart, and I have another 5 quart back there. And then I've also made a little line where it should be about 3.2 quarts on that one, so I know where to stop. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. We're gonna fill these up, and then start it up, make sure there's no leaks, check the oil level, and then we're all done. Alright guys, that's going to do it. I started it up. There's no leaks. Everything looks nice and tight. I will be honest with you. I started this at 11 o'clock and it is now 1 o'clock. So 2 hours to do this job. Now this is the first time that I ever did this on the Lexus, so next time will be a lot quicker. I also forgot to get a crush washer, so I had to run to AutoZone to get a crush washer, which I now have plenty of those for next time. So 2 hours, but if you think about going to a Lexus dealership, you're going to have to drive there. It's usually going to take like an hour for them to do the oil, and then you have to drive back anyways. So if you do have the time and you have the tools, I would definitely recommend it on your own. Like I said, they charge you $120 for a synthetic oil change. I just did it for $60, and I'll leave all the socket sizes that you'll need down in the description below, also along with the tools that I used today and the oil and filter that I used. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and if you haven't already done so, consider subscribing to the channel. And as always, thank you for watching.